Next on Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Nearly 1.5 million people in the United States are living with Parkinson's disease, or PD. Exercise can help combat the physical symptoms of the disease. Abby Jamison is a rock steady coach at the Rocky Mount YMCA. She's here to tell us how boxing can improve the lives of people with PD. And moving can be stressful. The headaches can increase exponentially if you don't know what questions to ask your moving company. Tammy Swader is an account manager with Lawrence Transportation. She's going to tell us what we need to do to make sure our belongings make it to our new home. We'll meet both these women on this edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act, right after this.
Sisterhood of the Second Act is brought to you by Step out the door with confidence, ready to conquer the day. Whether you are going to the cafe down the street or headed into work, you know you will always look your best in Cabby Styles. Your stylist, Darlene Marshall, will help you pick the styles that make you sparkle. And Cabby has styles for all body types. Call Darlene at 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, and follow her on Instagram at Dapper Darlin.
I'm gonna be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to help women and their families save money during this tax season. Call Pat at 540-798-8104, 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600. Now from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Parkinson's disease, or PD, is the second most common neurodegenerative disease after Alzheimer's disease. PD is a brain disorder that causes uncontrollable movements such as shaking, stiffness, and difficulty with balance and coordination. Symptoms usually begin gradually and worsen over time. Exercise can greatly increase the quality of life for people with PD, and boxing is an especially good exercise. Here to tell us about Rock Steady is Abby Jamison, Fitness Director at the YMCA of Franklin County. Thank you so much for being with us today, Abby.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great.
It's my pleasure. So, where we want to start is just tell us, what is Rock Steady?
So Rock Steady is a program that we brought to the Y back in 2018. Up until that point, we had kind of been working with with clients with Parkinson's one-on-one.
Okay.
Boxing. And we heard about this program, Rock Steady Boxing, where really they work as a team, several of them. And so we get them all together and we have one or two trainers with them, and we just really take them through like different workouts. Really the best part of having them all together, the group, is they're not alone. And so they're the camaraderie really is the best part. It's like they get together 1 to 3 times a week and they laugh and they talk and everybody knows, everything that's going on in each other's lives. And so it really is, Parkinson's is a disease that is very, it's lonely. And so you go to the doctor and you expect that, I have one right now, he went to the doctor and he thought he had nerve damage and he comes out with this diagnosis of Parkinson's disease and it's early onset. And so he had no idea even what it was or what to do next.
Right.
And so when they're all together, they're able to just really kind of talk about their symptoms and this is what's helping me and hey, you're not alone in this. Right. We've got this together. And so really that is one of the biggest components of Rock Steady. It brings them together.
It's a huge benefit.
It is a huge benefit.
Yes.
It's and it's really rewarding to me as a trainer because again, this disease, you can choose to hear this diagnosis, go home and sit in a chair and stay there. And you're going to stay there. Or you can choose to get up and fight, right? And seeing the determination and like the grit and the perseverance, it is so rewarding to me to see that in each one of them. That's my favorite part. Just, I'm in awe of these, we call them fighters. So I'm in awe of these fighters, of my boxers. This just resilience really that they show in the face of this disease. There is no cure. And so they're looking at something that they're going to face for the rest of their lives. And just their determination, like, I'm not going to let this be the end of my story.
That's wonderful. Very encouraging. So you said you brought the Rock Steady program, but what is, how did it get started? Can you give us a little history of it? It didn't start here is what you're saying.
Oh, it did not, no.
Okay.
So back in 2006, there was a prosecutor, Scott Newman, and he was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's, again, at 40 years old.
So that is the early, I was going to ask you, what is early onset?
Early onset, so the average age of onset is 60s, really more into your 70s.
Okay.
Some people are not diagnosed until, 80s and 90s. Fun fact about Parkinson's. So Parkinson's is really, it's like you called it a brain disorder. The neurotransmitter dopamine, your brain stops really being able to absorb. It stops creating dopamine. And so by the time you notice symptoms, you have already had Parkinson's for 15 to 20 years.
Wow.
And so it takes that long for this reduction in dopamine. So dopamine in part helps us control our movement. We don't fully understand either the causes or what really affects Parkinson's.
Okay.
But we do know that it is in part dopamine. So early onset
is around
Parkinson's.
40 would be considered early onset for sure.
For sure. Anything less than 60 really. Okay. So Scott Newman, he is diagnosed with this early onset Parkinson's. He had a friend, he was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he was like, we're going to fight back. At this point, really, there's nothing out there. I mean, Michael J. Fox was maybe like, and Muhammad Ali were really the only people that we even knew that had Parkinson's, but there was nothing that this is what we can do to help this. So the two of them, one-on-one, start practicing boxing moves, footwork and hand-eye coordination, and Parkinson's also affects cognition, and so really following orders, like following directions, like jab, cross, hook, and remembering that pattern over and over and over. And so the two of them are working on this one-on-one, and they notice quickly a decrease in his symptoms. So main symptoms of Parkinson's are shaking, or we call it pill rolling, and that's, you'll see Really, they're kind of their index finger and their thumb, or their middle finger and their thumb, they're rolling them together. Usually affects one side of the body more than the other. Other symptoms are going to be like a very shuffly gait, freezing, which is kind of where the easiest way to really describe it is your brain is telling you to move, but it's not quite, the message isn't quite making its way down to your feet. And so you freeze, you stop. Even just touching someone who's frozen, like if you touch the back of their legs, it's enough to like reset it. What's going to happen though, then, is something called fascination, which is where they lose complete control of their body movements, and they're going to move very quickly forward and usually stop when they hit the floor or a wall. Okay. And so that's something that we want to watch out for. So boxing, in this one-on-one boxing, they realized that Scott's symptoms are decreasing.
Okay.
He has better balance, better hand-eye coordination. And so they open it up, the very first one, they open it up. There's 6 boxers, 1 trainer, and they train 5 days a week. They realize that, hey, this is really beneficial. And so they open up other gyms throughout the Indianapolis area. This is back in 2006. They start to kind of, for lack of a better term, franchise this. It's a nonprofit. You can go and be trained, though. I went to a training in Texas and spent a couple days down there just really learning the symptoms, how to work with Parkinson's patients, clients. And so at this point, right before the pandemic, which is the last time that I know actual numbers, there were almost 900 rock steadies, most of them in the United States, but in several other countries as well. Rock steady because intense movement, forced intense movement. So I'm very loud and like I'm very forceful. And when I say you're going to do something, right, I'm like, I expect you to do it. And I'll sit there with them and I'm like, you've got this, right? And so this forced intense movement kind of changes their movement patterns when they're told to do something and they have to do it. It helps improve their ability to move. And so really the 2 best exercises are boxing, because it's so fast and their brain really has to work to kind of keep up, and cycling because it's intense movement and go faster, go stronger, climb that hill. And so really on a seated bike, those really are the 2 best exercises. So I incorporate the bike in our boxing classes all the time. We incorporate things like in our classes, and they're different. We have freedom to do them how we want, how we choose to, how we like. We do a lot of strength training, to keep the core strong. We want to keep the legs strong, keep the back strong, keep our shoulders back, and then we do a lot of high intensity exercise, battle ropes and bicycle and rowing machine, in addition to the boxing. Part of the boxing that I like the most, it's they box at me. I'm protected. I've got heavy pads. They box at me, and it is the part that is the most fun for both of us because it's one-on-one and we're moving fast, and it makes them feel so strong.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
We're talking with Abby Jamison, the fitness director at the Franklin County YMCA and the Rock Steady Boxing Program. And I love all the descriptions you gave. I can feel so many benefits as far as everything, including balance. I know that comes with riding a bicycle. Yes. So because this has been so interesting, and I think we're really trying to encourage other people to maybe that could benefit to try the program. If somebody wanted to find out more about it, how can they get a wellness program near them? What's the best way to find somebody that offers this?
So I would recommend rocksteadyboxing.org /find a class. And so that's really going to be their best bet at finding a location near them. We are the only one in this area that offers it right now. And so, but they can go on this. It is nationwide, and it will help them find a class that is close to them. Yes.
That's wonderful. So thank you so much for being here today,
Thank you.
Abby. It has been really a pleasure. And we will have the Franklin County YMCA and Rocksteady contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond-act.com. And when we come back, when it comes to moving into a new home, what you don't know could cause you a lot of headaches and maybe too much money. What you should know about your moving company when we return.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with a loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
I'm gonna be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids said they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Once again from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome back to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Moving is a headache, and it can be made even more stressful if you let cost be the only determining factor in who you choose to move your belongings. Tammy Swader is an account manager with Florence Transportation and has helped people move and their sometimes unusual belongings all over the world. She joins us today to help us avoid potential pitfalls when choosing a moving company. Thank you so much for coming in today, Tammy. I can't wait to hear more about this.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited.
Very good. So let's get right into it. So if I'm going to be moving, how should I start planning?
To start planning is to figure out, where you're going to go. Are you staying local or long distance? And then once you have that down, then you can really start in and contacting moving companies. You should get more than one estimate.
Okay.
Because you want to be able to compare the different services that are available. And then once you have that, you can determine, do I need to get rid of more things? Can I take this? Should I not take that? So the benefit of having all that done in advance is once that's done and you have your dates, you can just schedule them.
Okay.
So all the hard stuff is out of the way.
So you kind of alluded to this, but so some of the steps to prepare for a move, even before you call it moving company, should be probably what? Taking inventory of what exactly?
Sure. Decluttering is the biggest thing, because why do you want to move things that you just don't need, or it's just years and years of things? Yes. So start decluttering, figuring out, am I moving to a smaller place? Do I really need to take that second bedroom of furniture? It really kind of makes the process for getting the quote, as well as looking for a place to move to, easier.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And who should I get a quote from?
I would suggest getting quotes from companies that are reliable, respectable moving companies, people who have brick and mortar. You want to avoid any brokers, avoid online. You can do your research online.
Sure.
But if you start sending out requests online on the internet for quotes, you're going to be inundated with brokers, people that they don't move your things. So you want to stay more with an actual moving company. Ask your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers for recommendations. Ask your real estate agent. Okay. They'll a lot of times have good referrals.
That sounds really good.
I work with a lot of agents in the area, and so that's important for me because I want my customer to feel comfortable that they already almost know me when I walk through the door.
That's excellent. I really like that. So when choosing a moving company, does where I am moving matter? So, for example, say I'm moving out of state.
Absolutely. You have local moving companies, and that's their specialty. They move locally across town and different things like that. Once you start moving over a certain distance within the state, Virginia is a regulated state, so they have to be able to follow the Virginia tariff, which is pricing and rules and things like that. But then when you move across state lines, again, it is also regulated and you have to be licensed to be able to do that. So most moving companies can't.
Okay, so that's
Most
very
local
important.
moving companies.
Local companies can't. We are talking with Tammy Swader of Lawrence Transportation about what you need to ask your moving company before you hire them. And you did some of your estimates via video calls during the pandemic. Is that something you can still offer for people?
Oh, absolutely. If anything came out of the pandemic, it kept us moving and going forward. So we really didn't feel, we were still able to work for our customers. And that's really kind of come in and kept going since the pandemic has kind of settled. A lot of times it's more convenient for the client to, if they've got to pop home real quick, just pop on a virtual call. It's like FaceTime.
Right.
It's just virtual and I'm still there with you and I still get to see everything, which is important because you don't want to just make a list and give it to someone because you're not the expert.
That's right.
I'm the expert, whether I'm in person or if I'm in a video.
So seeing it is much more helpful. You gave us earlier when we were talking, you gave me another benefit that happened out of a video you had done. I think you should share that. I think that would encourage other people not to be afraid to do a video, which is when somebody had their garage inventoried.
Yeah, so I had a client, her parents were moving up from North Carolina. We did a virtual survey because they were in North Carolina on a Saturday, and Sunday morning they woke up to a fire and everything was lost, and it was her dad's life. It was his man cave.
Yes.
And that video actually helped her and her parents work with the insurance company to get everything settled. Had they not had that video,
yes, they would have probably lost both, heartbreakingly, their possessions and money.
Yes.
So it is important, and I think it's a good record for everybody to do that. So I think the information you're sharing is extremely important and valuable to other people. So why are estimates and inventories important for insurance purposes, since that's what we're talking about?
Sure. So estimates are going to give you an idea of cost. Okay. There's different kinds of estimates. There's binding estimates, there's non-binding estimates. And when I work with a client, we discuss the pros and cons of both.
Okay.
I prefer, and most of my clients do, binding, because that way it alleviates any surprises of the price changing, which you hear the horror stories that when I got my stuff, it was thousands of dollars or more. So there's the different types of estimates, and you want to make sure you understand what they are and what is included in them, especially when you're comparing multiple estimates that you've gotten.
Okay.
Now, as for inventories protect the customer if something happens damage-wise in transit. Or, God forbid, there's an accident. We have an inventory of what's, was on the truck. The inventories are used if a claim needs to be processed. Was that existing damage or was it something that happened in transit? And then that way the claim can be properly worked out with the customer. It also helps when you deliver. It's very important. I can't tell you how many people don't do this, but they don't check off the inventory to make sure everything's arrived.
I see.
It could be something simple as there's a box underneath a blanket and they didn't see it. Right. But then it's weeks later when they're done unpacking and they're still looking for the lampshade that goes to the lamp. Had they checked it off when it came off the truck, they would have realized, oh, we're missing a box. So I would say that's the most important thing at delivery and when it comes to the inventories.
Yes. Does the person have to physically be at the site when the things are delivered? I mean, they do.
Them or
a representative
because when we deliver, we're going to come in, set everything in place, put the furniture back together, deliver the boxes in the appropriate rooms. So if there's no one there to really direct us, we don't know where to put everything.
That makes sense. And do the inventory.
And do the check
off. I like that. Thank you for sharing that. That's something a lot of people aren't aware of. And you alluded to this, but just to clarify, what is the difference between a moving company and a broker?
So a moving company has assets. They have trucks. They have employees. Okay. We have inside employees. We have the drivers, the crews. Whereas a broker is is a broker. They will give you a price, but then they broker your move to a person who has a truck.
Okay.
They don't work for them. And if something goes wrong, it's like, who do you call?
Right.
If you call the broker, they're really going to probably be at this point difficult to reach, if at all. Or you deal with the driver who said, well, I didn't give you this price and now it's this.
Right.
So brokers, I would really strongly avoid them.
That makes a lot of sense to me. We're talking with Tammy Swader of Lawrence Transportation about what you need to ask your moving company before you hire them. And then what are some hidden fees that some companies charge and how can we avoid them?
So you'll have hidden fees in different types of moves.
Okay.
One is does your mover charge for using a credit card? Sometimes there'll be anywhere from a 2 to 6% charge for using a credit card,
which can add up when you're talking thousands of dollars.
Exactly. Also, moving long distance to another state, some long distance companies, moving companies, will charge for extra services like needing a small truck to get the items to the new house because a tractor trailer won't fit.
Okay.
Or some companies will charge for distance over 75 feet, or they may charge for an extra stop. So all of these things could start adding up if they're not known in advance or discussed in advance. Now, folks like us at United, we don't charge for a shuttle at destination.
That sounds really nice and important.
It's important because it makes the move delivery happen easier. The customer doesn't have to worry about any extra, and that can be a very large expense.
Right.
That they don't have to worry about.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think that's really, really important. And we hate to ask this, but what are the resources and who do I call if there is a problem, or who would the customer call if they have moved and there is a problem?
Sure. So if they're working with me and my team, there's myself and a coordinator. So we're there 24/7 basically. All my customers have access to my cell phone. And so they would call us directly. If they're working with a broker, it's hard to say. It could be trying to get in touch with the broker or the driver or whatever. And then who do you call when there's a claim? So for us, you call myself or my coordinator.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. You've given us a lot of things to think about and to consider.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And we will have Tammy Swader's contact information in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com. We'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Kathy's wardrobe provided by cabbie stylist Darlene Marshall. See the styles in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondAct.com.
In a region known for its beautiful mountain surroundings, our vibrant arts community makes the Allegheny Highlands a more colorful place to live and visit. Our passion for the arts is endless, and it's uniquely Allegheny.
I want to thank Abby Jamison and Tammy Swader for joining us today. Abby taught us how the Rocksteady boxing program helps people with Parkinson's disease, and Tammy stressed the importance of knowing what questions to ask your moving company. I'm Kathy Heberly. Join us next week for another edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.